Jesus gives us a warning in Scripture and a way that we can identify what false teachers are all about. There's a few things here. We could look at many, many more, but he's going to point out a handful of them for his disciples, and we can learn from this. We're going to look at Matthew chapter 23. Then spake Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, The scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do, but do not ye after their works, for they say and do not. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. So here's the first thing that is a mark of a false teacher, and that is they say and do not. In other words, what's good for the goose isn't necessarily good for the gander in their operation. They're up here, you're down there. You need to do what they say, but they're going to live a different lifestyle. Number two is what they do to be seen of men. We can see this starting in verse 5, but all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. But be ye not called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all of ye are brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father, which is in heaven. Neither be ye called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. So the false teacher is not interested in truly submitting their life to God and following Him. What they're looking for is to be seen of men, to be important, to be recognized, to gain position and power and influence. Number three, they want to be served. False teachers do not want to serve, they want to be served. He says in verse 11, But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. False teachers are not looking to provide truth and to be a service to others. They're not trying to help someone. They are manipulators and users of people. They use people to serve them, to build their kingdom, and to exalt themselves. And that's the fourth one. They're proud. Jesus says in Matthew 23:12, And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. Jesus taught his disciples that we are to humble ourselves. God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. And so here we see, and we could look at many more. This is a long chapter, and he brings an awful lot of accusations against the scribes and Pharisees, the religious hypocrites of his day. But these four, I think, will suffice for us, and they'll help us. They'll help us to guard our own heart. They'll help us to be careful that we don't get caught up following a man rather than following Jesus. Number one, they want you to do something they're not willing to do. They bind heavy burdens on people, but wouldn't move them with their own power at all. In other words, they've got all kinds of rules for you, but they don't apply to the leader. They do what they do to be seen of men, to gain an influence. They want to be recognized by men. They want to be served, and they're filled with pride. You and I have got to beware of that. We've got to guard our hearts against those things. We need to make sure that we are following Christ and that we're not puffed up with pride, but that we humble ourselves and that we serve. The greatest, Jesus says, He that is greatest among you shall be your servant. God bless you. Have a great day.